Welcome to this explainer. Settle in for a minute, because today we're looking at something that might actually rewrite the way you see your entire life. We're diving into Timothy Ferriss's paradigm-shifting book, The 4-Hour Workweek. Let's get right into it.
I really want you to think about this question for a second. What if everything you were taught about work is just wrong? Think about the default plan we're all handed right from childhood. You go to school, you get a job, you grind out 40-plus hours a week, save whatever money you can, and finally retire at 65. And then you're supposed to finally enjoy your life. Well, Timothy Ferriss looked at that exact plan and asked a really simple, actually kind of dangerous question. Why on earth are we waiting until we're 65 to live the life we want?
And this really captures the divide. On one side, we have what Ferriss calls the deferrers. These are the folks saving everything for the very end, basically just crossing their fingers that life hasn't completely passed them by when they finally get there. But on the other side, we have the new rich. These are the people designing freedom into their lives right now. And here's the kicker. This whole mindset, it isn't about being lazy, not at all. It's about ruthless effectiveness. It's about designing a lifestyle where you actually work less, earn more, and live fully. Not someday, right now.
That brings us to step 1 in Ferriss's deal framework. D is for definition, the true currencies. You know, most people blindly chase money, but the true currencies of the new rich, they are time and mobility.
So how do we actually define what we want? Ferriss introduces this concept called dreamlining. Instead of setting these vague, distant 20-year goals, you ask yourself, what does my absolute ideal life look like in exactly 6 months? What do you want to have, be, and do? Then you calculate the exact target monthly income you'd need to fund it. And the eye-opening secret here, when you actually sit down and do the math, your absolute dream life almost always costs way less per month than you'd think.
Moving to step 2, E is for elimination, the end of time management. We really need to let go of this illusion that we need to perfectly manage our time. Time management is broken. We just need to completely eliminate what doesn't matter.
To do that, we have to understand this fascinating psychological quirk called Parkinson's law. It states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Just let that sink in for a second. If you give yourself an entire week to write a report, well, it's going to take a week. But if you give yourself 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. By deliberately giving yourself way less time to do something, you will inevitably get more done.
So how do we ruthlessly cut out the noise? There are 3 big ways. First up is the 80-20 rule. You need to figure out which 20% of your tasks, or even your clients, are driving 80% of your actual results, and just drop the rest. Second, put yourself on a low-information diet. Honestly, stop mindlessly consuming the news, endless social media feeds, and all that trivial information. You have to fiercely protect your attention. And third, batch your tasks. Try checking your email only twice a day. Those constant pinging notifications, they absolutely destroy your deep, meaningful productivity.
Step 3. A is for automation, outsourcing your life. This is where the real magic happens. We shift from grinding inside a business to building automated systems that generate cash without eating up all your time.
Here is the actual blueprint for outsourcing your life. Number 1, you build an automated muse. That's a product or service that basically runs itself. Number 2, you hire virtual assistants for all those tasks that don't absolutely require your personal touch. Let me tell you, your time is worth so much more than you probably realize. And number 3, you create self-running systems. You're aiming for a business architecture that runs seamlessly, day in and day out, even if you just completely step away.
And the final step, L is for liberation, mobility, and income. This is all about cutting the physical cord to the office, taking these mini retirements throughout your life, and using geographic arbitrage to drastically structure money.
Let's actually look at the math that makes this so incredibly powerful. It's the difference between absolute and relative income. Think about absolute income. Say someone making $100,000 a year, but they are grinding out 80 hours every single week. Now look at relative income. Someone making $50,000 a year, but they only work 10 hours a week. When you break down the real hourly value and the actual lifestyle they're getting out of it, the person making $50K is mathematically far, far richer.
But let's pause here, because we have to talk about the mental block, fear setting. There is usually one massive thing keeping most of us from actually pulling this off, and it isn't a lack of money or skill, it's fear. To get past this, Ferriss uses a stoic practice he calls fear setting. I want you to genuinely ask yourself, what is the absolute, unquestionable worst thing that could happen if I tried this? Like if I asked my boss for remote work, Or if I started a muse? You need to define that monster clearly and precisely in your mind.
Then you follow that up with a reality check. How likely is that absolute worst-case scenario really? And if the worst actually did happen, what exactly would I do to recover? When you physically write this all down, you almost always realize that the actual risk is just a tiny fraction of the nightmare your brain cooked up. The real risk, the genuinely terrifying one, is just doing nothing at all.
Consider this profound truth from the book. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. Waiting for the perfect time is literally a 100% guarantee that you are going to miss out on your own life.
Here's another one to chew on. Being busy is a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and indiscriminate action. Frantic, constant motion is so often just a really clever hiding place, keeping you from doing the things that truly matter.
And how about this? What we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. Your deepest anxieties aren't stop signs. They're actually a compass, pointing you directly toward the path you need to take.
This one is a real paradigm shift. Focus on being productive instead of busy. True effectiveness in life is measured by your meaningful output and your freedom, not by how many hours you spent warming a desk chair.
Finally, ask yourself this. The question you should be asking isn't what do I want or what are my goals, but what would excite me? Excitement, not just having more money or a fancier title, is the true antidote to a mundane existence.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The 4-hour workweek isn't some strict, literal promise that you'll clock in for exactly 4 hours a week for the rest of your life. It's a permission slip. It's permission to question the default life you were handed, to design your work around your life instead of the other way around, and to start actually living fully, right now, today, not waiting until you retire. So the only question left to ask yourself is, will you give yourself that permission?